Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome to another best of 3 Theros traditional draft. We already jumped into the pack. I restarted the video because of some technical difficulties, but I think we're back and live now. So we just jumped into the draft. We're still sitting here, pack 1, pick 1. And let's go over what we think the pick here is. So starting out with the rare Heliod's Intervention. This is a great rare. Great thing you want to see pack 1, pick 1. Getting to blow up, multiple enchantments in this set's very powerful. There's a lot of good enchantments floating around. There's a lot of enchantment creatures floating around. And with this, you can actually blow up, 2 at instant speed for only 4 mana, and that alone can be a huge blowout. Sometimes you'll be able to snipe 3 or even 4 permanents with this, and just absolutely dominate on the advantage you get from a 3 or 4 for 1. So this is going to be the pick, but let's discuss what else is here. Daxos, all the demigods are playable. I don't think Daxos is one of the best ones. He's probably, in the lower half or so there. Timuret and Anax are very powerful in their color pairs. And they go down a little bit from there. Daxos, it's fine. If you're going wide, this can be a big butt. It's a good enchantment creature. If you want to trigger, the enchantment fall stuff in green-white or blue-white. This is a fine card, but, I don't necessarily want to take a pack 1, pick 1. Shell Kraken, we want to try to do a little bit better than this. This is okay, top end of, a blue-white enchantment fall deck, but we don't want to be taking a pack 1, pick 1. Cling to Dust is fine. Graveyard Hate, it lets you, draw cards for it, but you really want to be doing other things with your escape. If you were absolutely desperate for escape, in a blue-black deck or a black-white deck or something, then this is fine, but I'd rather find other uses for my escape. And other things in this pack that sort of catch my eye for pack 1, pick 1 are the 2 red removal spells down here, Omen of the Forge and Irose's Blessing. Of the 2, I'd much rather take Irose's Blessing. 4 damage for 4 mana is pretty good in red. This triggers your enchantment fall stuff. It can buff a creature up to, 4 power, which 4 power matters in the red-green archetype in this set. And Omen of the Forge. These have diminishing returns as you pick up more. A shock for 2 mana, absolutely playable, and this actually plays with all of Red's themes. It has Flash for the red-blue deck. It can sacrifice itself for the black-red deck. It has Enchantment Fall if you end up, having some of those triggers that matter. And it just is, it's an instant speed shock. It's great. But these do have diminishing returns on them. You definitely want to run the first copy you have. You probably run the second copy that you have, and after that, they tend to get a lot worse. And if you actually look at Theros Best of 1 draft, the Best of 3 draft number 1 that we have up on the YouTube here, we ended up running 2 of these main deck in an aggressive red-green deck, and they were both good there, and occasionally we would side into 3 if the opponent showed a lot of 2 toughness stuff. But that was when we wanted to be very aggressive, and, we wanted to be, playing these on turn 4, turn 5, killing something and being able to swing in for a big attack. This is more for your late game, take care of, a more important creature, take it out, and go from there. But here, it's pretty clear, Heliod's Intervention, just the best card in the pack. It's a rare, and we even have the cool art style for it, so we're going to pick it up here. Pack 2 here. This one's a little bit more interesting. Rare's been taken. Uncommon-wise, Commanding Presence. I've been impressed with Commanding Presence in this set. This makes, any typical creature a pretty big threat. I have been blown out personally by forgetting that this gives the thing first strike. And it's also a good stats boost. If you can put this on a flyer and start smashing, you make an army on the ground to block for you. It's a really powerful enchantment, but it is still an enchantment, and, it opens you up for the 2 for 1. So, I do like it. It is on color for us, but let's see what else is in this pack. Glimpse, not super impressed with. If you have no other escape. It's fine. It can draw you some cards, but I am not excited to pick it up here. Setested Petitioner. Uh, Life gain's fine if you need to stabilize, but again, I'm not excited to take that early. And we want to look at the commons, and once again, we have the same decision to make as we were facing the first pack. We avoided it by taking the intervention, but we have an Irosa's Blessing as well as an Omen of the Forge, and I sort of gave my thoughts on it there. I think Irosa's Blessing is just the better card, and this is taking us in an interesting direction. Typically, White-Red wants to be a very aggressive deck, but both Heliod's Intervention and Irosa's Blessing pays us off for going later into the game. So this could be a really interesting draft, but we'll just take the most powerful card in this pack, and I think that's Irosa's Blessing. Alright. Well, as Ben Stark would say, we're going to have one of those drafting the hard way kind of drafts. Here, Rare is still in the pack. It's Nylea's Intervention. This card is not particularly playable in Limited. Yes, it can fetch you up some lands if you are a very dedicated, blue-green ramp deck or something. I could see maybe playing this. But other than that, it's very much a sideboard card, just trying to deal a bunch of damage to an opponent's flyers. So it's a sideboard option here, but I think there's just better cards in the pack than it still. And those better cards are going to be probably the two of the uncommons that are left, and then we can talk briefly about the Catoblepus and even the Ichthyomorphosis. There's a lot of good stuff in this pack, outside of the rare. Of them, Bright Breath Catoblepus, this is good if you're in, a Black Devotion deck. Sets you up for a 2-for-1. It's a perfectly good 6-mana play there. You kill something with the Enter the Battlefield ability, and then you can just trade off because it has 3 power. It will trade with a good number of things in this set. Then it really shines in about the black-white deck, where you can get this back with the white-black uncommon spell. Returning this to the battlefield, also returning like a Mire's Grasp. It just gives you basically a 3-for-1, and that's the sort of stuff that white-black uses to grind out the game. Icky Fish, Ichthyomorphosis, Turn to Fish, whatever you want to call it. It turns out this is actually a pretty good removal spell in this set. You get your enchantment fall out of it, and you also, essentially remove one of their threats from combat. And then, again, I think these are sort of the third and fourth best cards in this pack. Second best card in the pack, I would say, is the Mischievous Chimera. It loses a little luster because it is gold, but when you're casting your first spell, getting to do 1 damage and scry 1 for a 2-mana 2/2 flyer is just a good rate. It's something that you would actively want to seek out in that deck, and it's pretty much one of the bigger reasons to go red-blue here in this set. It's a good card, but again, it's gold. I'd rather not take it early, just because it does want us to commit to both red and blue, especially this one, since this is best when you're casting it out on turn 2, and if you're splashing that just won't happen much of the time. That takes us to what I think is the best card in this pack, one of the best uncommons in the whole set, Shimmerwing Chimera. This is absolutely fantastic. Getting to bounce your auras for extra value is insane. For example, we have an Irosa's Blessing. If we can just sit there, bounce Irosa's Blessing all game, we're dealing 4 to a creature every turn for 4 mana, getting any sort of enchantment fall triggers that we might have, and that's just super powerful. So that being said, even if we don't run with the Blessing, there's a lot of other good auras. You just get an Omen of the Sea, and you start bouncing the Omen of the Sea. It's drawing you an extra card. It's setting up those draws with the Scry. It's just very powerful, and I think Shimmering Chimera is the best card in this set. Now, not in this set, but in this pack. It does set us up where we started this draft going white card, red card, and now blue card. But we're still trying to feel out the lane. We're just trying to take the best cards in the pack, and we'll see what signals we start to be sent here. But we'll take Shimmering Chimera. Alright, few good options here. Actually, this is quite interesting. There's a lot of really good options, and we'll talk about all of them. So, Storyteller, it's not a very aggressive white card, but it can buy back one of your enchantments. It doesn't put it to your hand, it puts it on top of your library, so you are spending a draw to get that card back. But if it's a very powerful enchantment, then that's likely worth it. Likely a rare, like Elspeth Conquers Death or something, this can be insane. But even if you're just getting back an Irosa's Blessing, that's going to be better than most of the cards in your deck anyways, and buying that back's not bad. We have the Prophecy. This wants to be a very slow card. It might be worth mentioning that this does pair very well with the Shimmerwing Chimera. You can let this get all the way to the 4th lore counter. I'm sorry, the 3rd lore counter. Hopefully, can you get your cards and then bounce it? I don't think you can actually get your cards and bounce it, just because of the way the timing works on this. But what you can do is you can let it get yes, you can. So you let it get the 3rd lore counter, pass the turn. On your turn at upkeep, the Shimmerwing Chimera triggers. You can bounce this to hand. You don't get the 4th lore counter on this, so you don't get to look at the top card of each player's library, but that is fine. That is not the most powerful thing on this. So we could get this and, set up a crazy, draw 2 loop over the course of, 2 or 3 turns. Furious Rise is a good card. We aren't really looking to do the 4 power stuff. This is a powerful, build around, but I don't think we're quite there. And then we have 2 other good cards here to talk about. Icky Fish. It's a good removal spell, as we talked about a little already. It works a little bit better with the Chimera, because, for example, you put this on there, 4 mana, 3/4 or something, and later in the game they play something that's a bigger threat. You can actually bounce it with the Shimmerwing Chimera and put it on the bigger threat, so it turns this into a more flexible removal spell in a way. You can rebuy it to use later, so that's worth keeping in mind. And then there's also just another Irosa's Blessing, and honestly, that's probably going to be the pick here. Just dealing 4 damage to things. It's very powerful with the Shimmerwing Chimera. And we sort of set up something that we would like to start doing. Shimmerwing Chimera, bounce Blessing, repeat ad nauseum, win the game. So here we'll take the 2nd Blessing. We're sort of moving away from the intervention. It doesn't mean that we're completely off of it. We're just taking the best cards in the pack right now. And I think for that, it's the Blessing. Okay, here it looks like green's being cut. We don't see any green in the pack. We also only see 1 black card in the pack. Blue, white, and just a little bit of red still left in the pack. This is good signs. There's a lot of blue-white, so we can sort of say that the bots over on the one side of us really aren't prioritizing blue or white cards, so it's likely we can pick up a lot here in these first packs. So maybe we have to move off the Blessings. These are going to be a fine splash card. Here, Omen of the Forge is a good card, and might be better, but with the signals that we're seeing, I'm a little bit hesitant to take the Omen of the Forge here. This is going to be a real tough pick. So we could try to move in harder on white. Getting the Storyteller, rebuying the Blessings if the creatures die is a good and powerful thing to do. It would let us play the Heliod's Intervention. Again, these are fine on splash. You don't really want to splash Heliod's Intervention with 2 white pips on it. So we got to be a little bit careful about that. Punishment, this does look like it's good. However, there's something to be careful with here is, once... This is a temporary removal spell, essentially. This buys you 4 turns. It lets you, take care of a threat for only 4 turns. Once those 4 turns are up, this goes away. The creature comes back, essentially. The opponent gets sort of a pseudo card draw. Or you discarded a card. And that's good if you can win the game in those 4 turns. If you haven't won the game in those 4 turns, this is much worse. Whirlwind Denials, fine counterspell if we wanted to, do more blue-white long game stuff, and that's sort of what we want, but I don't want to take Denial this early. A lot of good blue cards make me really want to go in on blue because the Shimmerwing Chimera is very powerful. I'm not sure what the best pick is here. Again, Omen might be the best card in the pack, but I'm a little bit worried about getting cut, and it looks, so far it looks like blue's really open. Blue-white is more of a control shell, and we have, 2 removal spells that we can splash, and then a blue-white control shell, and that seems like it would be pretty good. Denial is good in that deck. This is better, the Pious Wayfarer is better if you're an aggressive deck, and it really doesn't look like we want to be at this point. Brine Giant's a fine at, high end in, a heavy enchantment build. Blue-white would be that home, but I don't want to take it here this early. It could wheel here still. So this is a really interesting pick. I think I'm going to go with the Whirlwind Denial over the Omen of the Forge. Again, with 2 blessings, it would be nice to, move in on this red and maybe do a red-blue deck, but I feel like Heliod's Intervention's powerful enough. I kind of wouldn't be more open to a control game. Whirlwind Denial will make it if we're, either if we're in red-blue or if we're in blue-white. So that's sort of the tiebreaker I'm using here. This is going to be better in more of our final deck options, whereas Omen of the Forge we'll only really play it if we're in the red-blue flash deck. So I think I'm going to take the Denial here. And that's a really close pick anyways. I'm sure if, the best limited players in the world look at that, they might take something different there, but I'm going to go with the Denial. I think I've talked through it. I think that's the best card. Here, we're going to pick up an Icky Fish happily. Again, very good in this blue-white control shell that we're sort of forming. Surge is okay, but it's so situational that I tend to avoid it. Blood Aspirant is a good card, but you really want to have to move in on red, and I'm not sold that red is as open as we would like. We did get these 2 blessings, but I'm fine splashing those. And last pack, we only saw the 1 Omen of the Forge, which it's a decent red card, but I don't know if I want to take it this early. We're just going to pick up an Icky Fish. Okay, red is still fairly open. We could try to hedge there. We haven't really taken many white cards. Aspect of Manticore is fine, but unexciting. Underworld Ragehound, again, fine, but unexciting. Turtle is fine. I don't necessarily even want to take... We're in the middle of the pack, and I'm still not sold on taking the Turtle. I do kind of like the Omen of the Sun, with the Shimmering Chimera getting to bounce this and just keep getting 1/1s. Should be enough to keep the opponent from winning until we can eventually win on our own. We do have to be a little bit careful. We've taken 1 creature so far, and the rest are just good spells. This does, sort of enhance our creature count while also doing enchantment-y things. So I think we'll take it here. Wow. So, Warden of the Chain still being here, that should have been taken by now, pick 8. Somebody should be trying to do the red-green thing if that's there. But here I think we're probably just going to take the Vexing Gull. Again, this will be good whether we end up doing a red-blue deck or a blue-white deck. This is a fine thing. Memory Drains we might want to pick up later, but here I think I'll just take a Gull. Alright, looking like we're rewarded, seeing that blue was open. Here, Shoalkraken came back around, the Naiad came back around, all this good blue cards. We might be off of white still. The red-blue flash deck might come around. And in that case, I kind of like Naiad of Hidden Coves. It'll work whether we're blue-white or red-blue. Shoalkraken's fine. I'm not very excited to play this card. I'd rather just take the Naiad here. Wonderful. Looks like red-blue is our open pair. We may still move in on the blue-white, we're not sure. But here, I kind of like Memory Drain. One way or another, it looks like we want to play at instant speed or be more controlling, and in which case Memory Drain does that for us. Icky Fish came back around. That's fantastic. I think our creature count's fairly low. Stern Dismissal's not bad, especially if we want to be playing at instant speed. This might just be what we want. It can, work on giving us the blowout. This is a fine 2-drop. I'm going to take the Stern Dismissal. Well, I'll take the Memory Drain here. It looks like blue's open. Wow. Okay, we crack the next pack, and although blue didn't look like it was very open, we get Nightmare Shepherd. And Nightmare Shepherd is an insane card, but it really once enter the battlefield triggers. And do we have many of those? We don't. Having a copy of the Shimmering Chimera would be nice, and this is a really powerful card. But I'm not sure if it's going to be the pick here. Black looked like it was being super cut. We didn't really see any in the last couple of picks that we made. Blue was definitely open. And with blue being that open, I'm almost tempted to try to wheel this Witness of Tomorrow. It'd be good in our deck. And maybe just slap the Dreamstalker Manticore. If we're casting the first spell on our opponent's turn, which it looks like we want to be doing. It looks like we want to play at instant speed with what we've been picking up so far. This might just be the pickup. This lets you pick off things. It's pretty powerful. I like it. There's some good green cards, but again, green looks like it was being cut really hard. I don't want to try to fight over it for a Horn Beetle. We don't have anything at 4 power anyways. Probably not worth it. It might be right here to just take the Final Death. And if we want to splash, Final Death is a good splash. Probably better than the Heliod's Intervention, just because this is a double white card. So it's sort of between the Dreamstalker Manticore and the Final Death, as far as I'm concerned in this pack. Nightmare Shepherd, we're pretty far off of. We don't have a ton of great creatures. This is good, but I don't want to try to move in on black. Here in pack 2 like that. I would rather try to stick with what we got. And even then, we might pick up, it's a really close call. This does what we want for the deck better. This is a good, unconditional removal spell. So it's close. It's real close. I think I'm going to take Dreamstalker Manticore. This is exactly what our deck wants. Final Death would be a splash, and it's a good splash. It's the kind of card you want to be splashing, especially in a deck that wants to play instant speed, but we'll see if we can get another one. I really want to mana this deck. Alright, and here... yeah, best card in the pack, Drag to the Underworld. We're pretty far off black. We could have tried to move in there. And maybe we would have been rewarded for it, taking a black card here in the next pack and, really trying to make that work. But here, Arena Trickster works best in this deck, but I'm not all that impressed with that card. The card I am more impressed with here is the Careless Celebrant. This is just a good 2-mana, 2/1 that can also take something else with it, or it can trade for a 4 toughness creature, and that's real powerful, so we'll pick that up. Alright, if you had moved in on black, picking up a Mogi's Favor here is good. What we have going on, I'd rather just pick up another Naiad. Really, we have 2 Memory Drains. Those really turn on the Memory Drains, the Whirlwind Denials. I think this is where we want to be. We want to do this red-blue flash stuff. Yeah, and with that being said, here in the Flash deck, Aspect of Manticore gets a lot better. We want to play at instant speed anyways. We have reasons to. And the Naiad will actually make this enchantment only costs 1, and at that point it becomes, pretty actively good. So I think we'll pick up the aspect here. At this point, we're probably not worried about Omen of the Sun or Heliod's Intervention. Here, Riptide Turtle would be nice. We need to find a way to win the game. I think Shimmerwing, just bouncing the things, is our current win condition. I'm almost for picking up another Whirlwind Denial here. It's either that or the Trickster. How's our creature count looking? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures? That's not great. We also have a... I don't necessarily want to take the Riptide Turtle. It's sort of between the Trickster and the Whirlwind, and I think I'm going to take the Whirlwind here. We want to counter their things. We want to hold up stuff. Deny the Divine. Another good counter spell, but we already have 4 now. I'm a little lower on that. I'd rather just take our 2-drop Stinging Lionfish. Pays us off for doing this. We're playing at instant speed. We'll get to tap him down, and hopefully win because of that. Here, our blue has dried up tremendously. So I think I'm just going to take a Rage Hound as a perfectly serviceable 2-drop. We might be wheeling a Witness, but I definitely want a Witness. Just winning in the air with a 5-mana flyer seems good. This isn't offering us much of anything anywhere. We have 2 white cards in the board. That we could play, if we open like a Dream Trawler, we could cut, some of this red and move in on it. So I'm going to take the white card just to hedge our bets there. But when we have, decent red and blue cards, I'm going to take the Oread. If we're holding up, counter magic or something, and the opponent, chooses not to cast something, we can just rummage away to card for card advantage, and that seems good here. We'll take another Underworld Rage Hound. Those might just be a win condition. Eidolon Philosophy doesn't matter too much. And we'll take more cards that we likely won't play. Alright. So, pack 3, we're presented with a choice. We could take the off-colored temple, half-colored temple here, where it would get us a scry, and that is a good thing to do if you're building the decks. These are perfectly good playables. If they're half color, they're a tap land that scries you one, and that's usually actively good. But when you have a card that's better than it in the pack for you, such as the Careless Celebrant, you just snap up the Careless Celebrant instead. So we'll take the Careless Celebrant here. Oh my. Well, we weren't splashing the Heliod's Intervention at this point. However, Eutropia is borderline busted, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So yeah, we have a lot of enchantments. Eutropia is a worthwhile splash here, and she sort of becomes our new de facto win condition. We're not passing much there either. Okay. The only thing in here for us would really be the Trickster. However, I also see the Enigmatic Incarnation. And since we already want to splash green, having that to just say, we sack out a Naiad or even an Icky Fish if it becomes not relevant, and we move up to, our 4s, where we can go ahead and get our Shimmerwing Chimera out, seems pretty good. We can also sack a Blessing once it's on to pull out the Witness. I like that interaction. I think we'll take it and consider, we're already splashing green. Oh my. Well, we do look to be a control deck. Omen of the Sea is a good card. I would always play it in a deck that looked like this, especially with Eutropia, but here we also have a Thassa's Oracle. It looks like we want to be more controlling. We want the game to go late. We're just using our removal spells and stuff. So let's pick up Thassa's Oracle. I'm very happy with that here. Here, I'd be happy to go ahead and pick up a Dreamshaper Shaman. We could, let's check our curve here. We're already pretty bloated here at 3, otherwise we could take the Gull. Let's just take the powerful enchanting creature. I initially saw this Sweet Oblivion and was kind of tempted, especially with the Thassa's Oracle, to try to mill ourselves with this. But then I saw Fateful End. It's a removal spell. We'll take the removal spell. We'll take another Whirlwind Denial sideboard. Well, yeah. Wow, okay. So we're at pick 8, and we're still facing some interesting decisions here in this deck with all the enchantments we have. Caliphy's, very powerful. She's another enchantment, but I think we also just need a little bit of beef here at the high end to close out some games, and Brian will get us that. Well, how are we doing at 2? We have a decent number of 2s. I'm probably cutting Rage Hounds at this point. So let's just take a Witness of Tomorrow and consider it. Eidolon of Philosophy, we might be wanting to draw cards late. Arena Trickster, if we can still do that. This deck seems kind of nuts. We might actually want a Wings for the board. And that Sweet Oblivion actually came back around, so we'll have to think about that. Overall, this seems sort of insane. We have basically 50 playables, which is ludicrous. Let's start cutting. Probably the Stern Dismissal. At least one, probably both Rage Hounds. We're just going over the easy cuts real quick, and then we'll start digging into the more difficult ones. Yeah, so still 7 cuts. A lot of them to go. I think we cut the Sweet Oblivion. We don't want to start it in the main, but this might actually be a plan out of the board. To, either mill ourselves and win with the Oracle, or mill the opponent out of the game, if that seems to be an option. So, we'll start with that in the board. Lionfish Oracle, Celebrants, Oriadal. Good. This is an enchantment. We do want to go long. It's an activated ability, so I think we'll keep it currently. I don't really like the aspect of Manticore. We have better things to do. Rose's Blessing. It does have Flash, which is nice. I don't really want a Trickster. I don't think I want a second Witness. I don't know if I want the Dreamshaper Shaman. I feel like I don't. We want to be a little bit more aggressive than that. Have some cheaper threats. It's a good card, but... And now, what we could do is we could just cut the splash and be happy. Having this Nyxborn Seaguard is kind of nice because we can sack, it to get up to our Witness, which is nice. We might want the second Witness back in. We could cut the splash. I don't really want to, though. Let's cut... I feel like maybe just a Vexing Gull. A Whirlwind Denial. Maybe we also just cut a Memory Drain. Yeah, so we went down a good bit of the instant speed stuff. It depends on what the opponent shows us. We could bring a whole bunch of that back in and really get them with counters and, even cut some of our enchantment stuff if they're showing a lot of removal or something. But here, I kind of like where we ended up. We're doing, it's sort of a red-blue enchantment fall, splashing green for 2 very powerful Simic cards here. And I like that. So let's throw the Incarnation there now that we're running it in this deck. And it put us up to 4 forests. I definitely don't think that's right. I want to go up another mountain. And we don't want these lands anyways. So we'll do 7-7-3. I think that's a decent split. Zoom those out. Still missing the forest. I could go buy it, but we're just going to put in Avon lands. Okay. Well, there's the deck. Here's the whole sideboard if anyone wants to take a look at that. You know, there's some interesting decision points for this deck. Did we want to increase the amount of control magic? Well, not control magic, but counter magic that we had here to try to, you know, win with the Oracle? Did we want to keep in the Sweet Oblivion again for the Oracle? Did we want to go, you know, more beatdown? Maybe it's right to cut 1 witness for a Whirlwind Denial. Maybe not a Whirlwind Denial. Yeah. Memory Drain. I like the Scry 2 on this, and with 2 Naiads it should cost cheaper. We have, you know, a decent number of instant speed things we can hold up. A few, right? How many things do we have at instant speed? Or are we not really playing at instant speed other than our counter stuff anymore? We're not really playing at instant speed other than our counter, so maybe it's right to not run more counter magic. It looked like we were. And the Naiads get a little worse if we're not operating at instant speed. Is there something that we could side in for them instead? Maybe an Aspect of Manticore, but I think our creature count's low enough that... Oh, let's run that nice sleeves. I think our creature count is low enough. What is our creature count here? Creature, we're at 15. That's probably more than enough that we could cut Naiads. But if we cut Naiads, what are we going up? Probably counter magic. And I think we want to, you know, take more advantage of the enchantment fall with these two, you know, getting up. We can't actually get out the Irosa's Blessing, but we can turn them into Witnesses of Tomorrow, and that seems really good. We want a place to put the Irosa's Blessings. It's definitely interesting. One of the more interesting deck builds that I've had here. We could also just cut out, you know, cut some of this other red even. Of course, I like the red that we have. We could cut the green, but I think these are powerful and sort of part of our win cons that I don't want to cut them. We could cut the Seaguard for something, but if we're cutting the Seaguard, we're probably just putting in more, you know, more Whirlwind Denials and Memory Drains, and I don't necessarily like to push that direction. So I think we just run it like this, and let's see how it goes. It's definitely interesting. Oh, let's name this. Let's name this deck. No, no, and no. I think this is the way it is. No, no, and no on Whirlwind Denial. Yep, no, no, and ... no. No, no, and no. I don't know what to put in this deck. We'll go with that. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the first game here. This is definitely an interesting deck. I'm sure there's many different ways to build it, but let's see how the current build plays. We can borderline sideboard into almost an entirely different deck depending on what the opponent's doing, so that could be really interesting. We might have some really interesting sideboard choices to make. But we'll think about that during the games, see if there's anything that we'd really want to bring in. All 3 colors, a 3-drop, and a removal spell. I can't complain about this. We could full control them a little bit, see if... Alright, since they have Destiny Spinner, we do not want counter magic out anymore. So, that gets significantly worse than just throw out the Manticore. Warbriar's Blessing here would feel real bad. That feels significantly less bad. Wow. This card is bad in basically every deck I've ever seen it in. Don't play it. Here, what I think we're going to do is... we could throw out another red source, you know, hide the splash right now. We have this Fateful End. And if we fire it off now, we just get in for 4, so I kind of like that. Let's just put a little pressure on them. It looks like they want to do, you know, real slow, dirtily stuff. Okay, they can also be splashing. Here, though, we just are going to run out the Sea Guard, drop a land, and plan to Brine Giant next turn, and just beat their face in. That was a place where this Triumphant Surge was really good. Interesting splash. What are they doing? Here, we're going to attack. They may think we have a trick. They saw the Dreamstalker, which means, yeah, we're just get it for 2 free points of damage before we drop our 5/6. Strategy opponent. I don't think it pays off for them. Again, we'll hold up stuff. They might think that we have something. And we're just going to dump the hand. We can rummage away bad things with the Oriad at this point. If it's not action, if it's not advancing our game plan, we'll rummage it away and keep going. It doesn't work if we're, you know, out of card opponent. Alright, so here we will go ahead and rummage that away. Blessing's nice, but it can't actually get through at this point. So we'll hold it. And we're safe to attack here, here, and here. They could block here, gain 2, and they take 3, so it is advancing our board state. We'll end the turn, we'll hold up the Blessing, we can hopefully kill one of their creatures unless they give it hexproof, which is a little bit annoying, but... okay, they won't be able to equip that. We can kill it and get in there. That seems very aggressive. Alright. want to know where we want to throw this? It's a good question. When we kill that, it will make it so that this could attack through Timurat, so I think we just put on the Brine Giant. This does sort of consolidate our threats a little bit. Always what you want to be doing, but it will be able to attack through this. And we likely will just drop the Oracle here. It won't win us the game, but we will get to scry a whole bunch. Set up our draw, hopefully for the win. Top 5, we get whatever we want. This is a flyer, which can get there on its own. Or we could pick up a removal spell, one way or the other, to try to win the game. The problem with that is they currently have the Mirror Shield out. They can gain some amount of life with the Timurat, so I think we're just going to grab the Witness, even though we could potentially go for the win. I'm a little hesitant to grab removal when they're showing all this hexproof. Okay, it would have played out well. As it is, we don't necessarily have a great attack with anything at this point. Not even with the Celebrant, so we're just going to throw out the Witness. And know that we can win in the air. This is a really interesting strategy, opponent. It's not working out very well for you. It looks like they just want to make these, ground walls that prevent me from doing anything and then winning by pinging me for 2 a turn. And I don't feel like that's a very good strategy. Alright, that's fantastic. We're going to play that out here. But let's go ahead and get in with the Witness. And we'll play out the Shimmerwing Chimera. We can start bouncing this Blessing. Bouncing the Blessing means we'll be able to kill things on the ground. And we'll just have this. That's fine. Their stuff has trample. We're winning in the air this next turn. So they're forced into this attack. And with the forced attack, we can actually just double block nicely to kill that. They have 1 mana up. This is in case they have like an Omen of the Dead to increase its devotion by 1, but we'll just do this. They were doing that just to gain life. We'll go ahead and bounce the Irose's Blessing. And we'll throw the Irose's Blessing, again, just back on the Brine Giant. Alright, deck seemed good there. It's a little bit interesting what they're trying to do. So, they did show some artifacts. We could bring in one of these to destroy an artifact, and I kind of like that. They showed us, 3 artifacts there. Usually you're not seeing that many. So I kind of like bringing in one of those. The Icky Fishes get a lot less good when they are oraing up like that. They seem particularly weak to flyers, so I'm almost tempted to just bring in a Vexing Gull to get there in the air. So yeah, we did cut Icky Fishes. Those are good, but with the Hexproof I saw there, this targeted removal stuff gets a lot less good. They're just building up battle, sort of a battle cruiser anyways. And Vexing Gull just pinging in seems like it might just be able to get there on its own. The bounce can also send them back a little ways, and I think I like it over the Eidolon here. We bounce in response to the equip. They lose mana, they lose tempo. I like that. So let's run it like that. Are all these decisions correct? I don't know. Let a comment. Let me know how much of an idiot I am for, sideboarding. Fantastic. We got 2-drop, 3-drop. We won't quite be able to hold that up because of the way our mana works, but we'll hopefully pressure them here a little bit. Okay, our counter magic, we should have remembered that. Our counter magic is useless. But let's go ahead and attack in. I would absolutely accept this trade. From my end, the opponent should not accept. And we'll play out the Naiad, make our spells cost less on their turn. Here, we'll just attack all. Again, I'm happy to trade. If they just bounce these, we get in for 2 damage. And if they want to take that trade, I'm very happy to do it. Because that actually turns our counter magic back on. We'll see what they do here. We're likely just going to go and turn. That's good. I believe she says enters the battlefield. Yes. So we can actually, we'll be able to hold up stuff. We could also just kill Renata now, and I kind of like that the best. Totally missed that. But we'll just kill Renata and get it to 5. They're under a lot of pressure here. If they can't, massively develop their board, that won't really do it. We're gonna just hold up counter magic. We're winning in the air here in 3 more turns. We're gonna either counter or stern dismissal. That's a fine thing to counter. And that could be interesting. We sack the 3, but we have our 5s in hand, so it's actually not great here. Do we have another enchantment? This is an enchantment creature. We could get 4. At 4 we have... I don't know if we have anything gray. So I kind of like just bottom both of those. We'd even just like another land a Witness of Tomorrow. That brings to a minimum trade for the Forerunner. Or we can just pick up another Irosa's Blessing and basically have this in the bag. Alright, and they're 2 points away from dead. That was a fantastic top deck. And they're dead. They can block, they can have that. We had lethal. Okay, maybe a little bit interesting sideboard situations there. We knew that they had the uncounterable thing here, and we probably should have sided out counter magic there in match 2. Sorry, game 2 rather. Let's see what this mythic is. Harmonious Archon. Another Archon. Interesting. We'll open packs later. Well, we're 1-1 now. So far, we're 1-0 now. So far, so good. Let's go ahead and move on to the next match. Definitely, a really interesting draft that led to a lot of sideboard decisions here. We have a lot of different ways we can go. So far, things have worked out, but I think maybe a better player finds different sideboard options. They know how to tweak it a little bit better. Whoa. Well, we do have this to rummage away stuff. The opponent could run us over. They're going first. I think we keep it. 5 lands, a spell that we can cast, and the ability to sort of rummage away, extra forests. Seems okay here. We only need 1 forest to cast our stuff, so the other one is just, it's a sort of dead land. We went ahead and picked out our island. We'll play that. That way we might eventually get to memory drain mana. We also have Icky Fish mana next turn if they drop something disgusting. They want to trade a trick for this. I'm fine. This could be the aspect of Manticore. Nailed it. Their thing's still only a 1 toughness. We'll drop the Clueless Celebrant. That sort of blows them out. Regardless of what they do. Yep, and they're passing. They're likely holding up counter magic here. I don't know if we were able to hold up memory drain here. I would pass. As it is, I think we just try to run out Naiad. It likely gets countered. Okay, no counter. That's great. We won't even attack. It's doing a great job holding off this 4-1 at the time. And if they flash in a Vexing Gull... Wow, no Vexing Gull. Wonderful. Yeah, we want to tap down the Careless Celebrant opponent. Oh, opponent. Alright, they pitched a land. Drew some cards. Good for them. And they get their Brine Giant out. That's a great thing to go ahead and cast Icky Fish on. We could trade here. This won't kill the Brine Giant. I'm kind of fine not taking 4 to the face like that. With this, we're just going to Icky Fish that. And get in there. Alright, wonderful. We're in a great place here. We can hold up the counter magic. We'll drop this. Yep, we're just going to hold up counter magic. Counter it if it looks like they're going to do something gross. I'm fine letting that resolve. It's gonna let them look a little bit and get a card out of it, but we'll just counter whatever they get instead. Like that. It's maybe not the best thing to counter, but it's a good thing to counter. And there's Eutropia. Seems good. It'll give the opponent something to worry about. Alright, we definitely want to attack first. If they try to flash something in, wonderful. They're not countering Eutropia. It's likely it's just pausing because of the... Or they could have Deny the Divine. That was... Alright, they must have top decked that. Here, we'll just play out another land. We'll hold on to this one. I don't think we have any other ways to ditch cards. It's not going to do us much. They did upkeep Scry here. Let's see. We'd love to see bottom. Top. Not what we wanted to see. Okay, deck. We are so done with lands. Well, let's get in there. We'll hold up 2 lands at this point. There's really nothing. No reason to cast more. Probably should have had a full control bluff there. They might have been testing for the counter. And they might counter here. If it's Whirlwind Denial, we will want to have one more mana out for that, I believe. We're still winning this race, I believe. Yeah. And if they just want to check, that's fine. They're done with their scry. So hopefully they're the ones drawing lands now. And if the opponent just wants to exchange blows, I think that's alright. Lionfish is great. We might be able to tap their thing down. And we'll try to hold up a full control bluff here when they cast something. One with the stars. Okay, that was good for them. Oh, deck. We don't have to block this turn, so we'll get in there. Oh, but deck. Enough with the lands, enough with the lands. Okay, so Thassa's Oracle can be the thing. We could offer a trade. And here, I think we actively want the Eidolon. We can, you know, play it and just draw cards, and in that case, I'll go ahead and play that out. We won't attack, we'll threaten to trade here. That also means if they draw a removal spell, we're not just dead. Our other options were, you know, a bunch of counter magic. I don't think those are right. Wonderful, we'll play Eidolon here. And end turn, we'll crack Eidolon. If they attack, this doesn't have trample, we can block with the Eidolon, sack it in response, get our cards, prevent the damage. Here, end turn. We'll go ahead and stack it. Draw 3. Seems good. We'll bait for counter magic here, and then hopefully just fateful end it. That seems great. This is an enchantment, which means we'll sack it. And let's get into 3. And we have lethal on board if they can't do anything. Wonderful. Okay, so they also want to play at instant speed, do flashy things. Interesting. They just want to suit up their things. I think Eidolon of Philosophy looked really good there, but I think we'd rather have the Stern Dismissal. Other things looking pretty good. What else did we see from them? Oh, come on. Let me click on the graveyard. There we go. That was 2 toughness. Saw some of that. So they definitely want to be doing tricks. If we can punish their tricks with a Stern Dismissal, I think we should. I don't know if we want to launch into the Counter Wars. I think the counter we have is good enough. How many counter spells did they show? They only showed the one Deny the Divine, and we weren't seeing other stops. they would have done things. So, and we saw a good chunk. They didn't have a ton of counters. They want to play at instant speed, which means they're probably not playing on our turns, which means our counter magic maybe gets a little bit worse. But what do we bring in instead? Maybe a Vexing Gull over the Whirlwind Denial? That way we don't get punished as bad. They might want to try to play around counters. It didn't look like they were playing around them. But I think I'd rather have a threat than a counter spell. They want to play at instant speed, which means they're going to pass the turn. And if we're holding up counter magic, we don't get to spend our mana for a turn, and that's bad. Alright, this is going to be a time where we just slam Oracle on 2 to help find our land for turn 4. Not the most exciting case for Thassa's Oracle, but this is, you know, a perfectly fine plan since we don't have another 2. Oh, Shadow Spear. Well, we did not see that in game 1. And we do have one piece of artifact that we might bring in for that, just because it's that powerful. The opponent is having a heck of a start. So Stern Dismissal would just set him back some. I think I'd well, we already have 4 lands, so let's just have the Stern Dismissal. It will give us something to do next turn, because we can Oriad and also hold up the Dismissal, and just see if they want to, you know, maybe Bogle this thing. Of course, just having a Shadow Spear on is powerful enough. I'm relatively scared about this game already. We're gonna do this, Stern Dismissal it if nothing else. We can't block it, so we're gonna attack. They could have a way to punish this, and that would be bad. But we're gonna bounce it here. Try to prevent this damage. They can just, you know, play it re-equip, but if so, we can Blessing it out of the way. They let up 1 blue. They can't actually do it for 1 blue, so we will Blessing it out of the way. And I think we're gonna Blessing on, I think, the Oracle. The Oracle's already done its job. If they have a way to bounce our thing, this would be bad. But now we can start cracking back. If they just don't have another creature, you know, maybe we just get there. Maybe they're screwed on lands. Maybe the Shadow Spear plan was plan A and they didn't have a B or C. That might very well be the case. In which case, top, likely a land and action. Oriad's a thing they could, you know, just aura up. We don't necessarily have attacks. I'd rather be able to block that thing. So yeah, let's just go through stock attacks. That's about as much mana as we could use. We could have held up Memory Drain. They're defenseless right now. But we don't necessarily have a great way to punish that besides just playing a Brine Giant. I don't want to attack with anything. I don't really want to give up this. Well, do we want to give up the Manticore? I think we take the trade if they offered it. And we'll play this just in case we end up getting another land, that means next turn we can double spell. Question is, what do they want to do here? They could just they could equip up the Shadow Spear, but they don't really have attacks. We took out their flyer. If they equip the Shadow Spear, it also means we don't have attacks. But I think that's fine. Okay. Play their own Dreamstalker. They equip Shadow Spear there. They still don't have attacks. This Brine Giant's just going to be big enough that maybe they don't have good attacks. And we can do the play I suggested by playing the land. We can go ahead and drop the Celebrant, which is great on this board. It threatens to just trade for the Manticore all by itself. Or block something and then take out the Manticore. Again, I'm fine if they want to take a trade for the Manticore here. We're holding them back with the Brine Giant, effectively. Okay, they're doing it to us. Chain to Memory gives it -4, -0. And that means they just eat it. And I don't love it. They also get a Scry 2, which is going to be close to draw a card. We could counter it and set up our draw, which I kind of... Maybe that's not the best play. But they don't get to scry, they don't get to set up anything. We'll have to watch out. That Trickster will get big enough where when they equip the Shadow Spear to it, there's, you know, bad things will happen. But I did want to scry 2 there. I think we were able to get a land out of the way, which will be nice for this next turn, just dropping Eutropia. It'll be really interesting to see what the opponent tries to do. And that means it still just trades for the Celebrant, technically. Okay. We'll go ahead and offer the Manticore one more time here. Well, actually, now they can double block with those. I don't like that anymore. We'll just drop Eutropia. And we'll threaten to, you know, just drop an Aura or something. And throw a Brine Giant in the air and get there that way. Something upkeep. They're going to try to tap something? That's interesting. Omen of the Forge. Oh, they're going to kill Eutropia now. Interesting. That's really good. We can do 2, but it doesn't really matter, so I think we're going to do it here. That was very good play for the opponent there. And, yep, it would have played out very well. We're still going to drop it. It's worth getting another creature on board here. But that was sort of one of our win cons there. We probably should have thrown the 2 damage here. That would have given an attack to the Manticore. Actually, no, they have a 5/5 now. It doesn't matter. Let's no attacks. We still have decent blocks. They're not great anymore. They are growing. We're a little bit concerned with that, but I think we're still good. And they got to see one of our counter spells here. They might not know that we decided to side some of those out just because we don't want to fight the counter wars. Here, we draw a land. We'll go ahead and push that away. Try to find action. We won't let them know that that's a land yet. We'll just know attacks and the turn. They'll go ahead and get a scry here with one of these omens. And that is going to help them set up their draws. That's not ideal for us, but I think we're still in a fine position. The Shadow Spear is a very good card. It's one of the best things you can open pack 1, pick 1, just because it's colorless. No matter what deck you're in, it's going to make that deck a lot better. And it's just straight powerful. There's not a ton of artifact destruction here. We do have one piece of it in the sideboard, and we will be bringing that in for Game 3 if it goes to a Game 3. Alright, our pause is already set because of the Oriad. We don't have to cut counter magic. Woof. Here I think I will play one, and then Rummage. It threatens the 4-mana counterspell, Memory Drain. Wonderful. That's fantastic. We could get blown out because of this. But I think here we have to go ahead and try. We want to take out that Dreamstalker. And the best thing that we can equip it here is probably Thassa's Oracle if they don't really want to kill it in response, I feel. If we put it on the Sea Guard, it gives us a 3/6, which can block the Manticore, which maybe that's better. Let's throw it here. I'm sort of expecting a counterspell, but if not, it would be a pleasant surprise. Okay, there's the counterspell. With just a counterspell, it's not a big blowout. We don't get our 4 damage. They can cast a second thing in it, they can kill it with toughness thing. The fact that they didn't put it there means they don't have another thing to play. And they can't scry here. It does grow the Trickster. They could throw the Shadow Spear over on the Trickster and start being able to smash in. We have fine blocks. It's a 1-for-1, but they would gain a lot of life. And that could mess up if this turns into a race situation. But we have some good outs. We have some good flyers in here. We have 1 land on the very bottom, so... And we've been able to rummage away here 3 in a row, so... I'm feeling alright about our chances here. It's a port stall, and we'll just see if we can get there. Okay, Naiad, not the best play, but it is a fine play. It does add another creature out here, so we'll go ahead and try to cast it. It resolves. There was a pause, but that could just be from the Omen. It doesn't tell us anything. And they'll end up sacking Scry. 1 top, 1 bottom like last time. So they found one thing that they wanted here. Let's hope it's not too bad for us. We do still have Enigmatic Incarnation in here, and that is one of our outs. We have 2 of the 5-mana 3/4 flyers in blue. That's another out. Basically, we want to... If we got the Enigmatic Incarnation, we'd pitch the Blessing, get one of our flyers. If we find a flyer, we just straight cast it. Here, we have... We'll have to be a little bit careful. Yeah, so here they're threatening Aspect of Manticore. We saw that in Game 1. We haven't seen it yet, which means they might have it, and the fact that they're attacking now means that might, very strongly be a possibility with the first strike. So how do we best play around Aspect of Manticore? We can't take this very long. Even 1 turn could be enough. So Aspect, it's their turn, so this won't get a counter. But it would have 9 first striking damage. So how do we not get blown out with 9 first strike damage? That's 9 first strike damage means they put it there and there. But they only have 7 toughness, which means the rest of that gets there. So they take out those 2, but then it's a 2 for 2. Yeah, we lose our 2 best creatures, but we do take them out, I believe, yes. But we have to just put everything on it to do that. For some reason, Arena doesn't like me selecting 6 buttons at a time. But we will here. I think it's Aspect of Manticore. I think they're going to use it to kill the Brine Giant and the Dreamstalker Manticore. But then we actually trade with it. They do gain a bunch of life. But their best creature, and the thing that's sort of that's the biggest threat, we take out, and we sort of have to do that now before it becomes too late. We get it one way or another, so you know, it's not the best trade in the world, but even if they did something really gross, we still do pretty good in this transaction, so I'm not unhappy about it. If they have 2 things, you know, they can blow us out to the point where they just win. They could give something -4/-0, and then also play the Aspect of Manticore, and in that point, they're just going to win. There's really no way we can get around that when they have a Shadow Spear on board. So let's see what they end up doing, but I'm going to call Manticore, and if they also have the -4/-0, that's just going to be GG's. And if this was just, you know, a big attack, then we're only gonna get... Well, there's the Aspect of Manticore. And it tapped them in such a way that they do not have the -4/-0. So yeah, it's a trade. They actually didn't take our Dreamstalker Manticore, which seems like a bit of a surprise. Here, they took our way to rummage away things. They might have thought that was more important, but I think the Dreamstalker Manticore is just good enough that you should try to play around that more. We'll drop a Naiad. We actually have a tax here. Do we have a tax here? This is a free attack, but I like its blocks. This is not a free attack. This is a free attack. No matter what, they can just single block, so I'm gonna no attacks. It doesn't really advance our board state to attack there. Doesn't really help us out in the race too much. We might get 2 points of damage in, but we're hoping ourselves backswing, and I don't like to do that here. If we can help it. It is worth noting this is another game going long, another place where maybe having that Eidolon Philosophy to draw us 3 would have been good, but we'll just pass, hold this mountain to bluff. And they have the way to get card advantage here. We'll just see if they can come up with a better answer before we can. And it's not bad for them. When that dies, it takes out our Manticore. So that's why. Alright, Vexing Gull is fantastic here. It's a threat in the air. It changes this race dynamic some. It would get us there before we dagged. But we'll just cast it, their end step. It's interesting that they didn't rummage away there. That might mean that they're happy with, 3 of their 4 cards, which is kind of dangerous. But here, we'll just flash it, Vexing Gull, end of turn, and we can actually ping the Celebrant. It would take out our Manticore, so I think I'm just going to throw it at their face. I think the Manticore's still valuable enough that I'd rather hold on to it. If they have counter magic, we're forcing them to use it here on a 2-mana, a 1-mana 2/2 flyer. Deck, I thought we were out of lands. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of 17? That's a little floody. Well, no attacks. They're likely just going to rummage something away here end step. Oh, they don't. Which either means they're missing that or they're happy with 3 of their 4 cards still. Both are dangerous. They could also feel like this might be a decking situation and we're closer to decking. I think we're still pretty far from that. Ooh. Oh, dag. Well, we're going to just keep sandbagging lands. We don't have anything to do for a ton of mana. The only thing it could really do is fight against a Whirlwind Denial. And it might be worth playing, you know, we have good 5 mana threat, so I think playing out 2 more lands is worthwhile still. Our, 5 mana flyers might just be the thing that, win us the game, that 3/4 flyer, so we'll go ahead and, play out lands to play around a Whirlwind Denial. Sandbagging here might, make them worry a little bit, but we'll see. That's a very edge thing. You're not getting a whole lot of win percentage by doing this. So yeah, we'll just throw it out. Hey, alright, it's Icky Fish. Fantastic, something that they'll need to counter. And here, I think we'll throw it on the Dreamstalker Manticore. That's our big threat. It's the thing that wears the Shadow Spear the best, and we'll just go ahead and try to make it an 0-1. Likely just eats another counterspell, though. Or it gets Starlit Mantled. And that makes it even more of an advantage, which is not fantastic for us. (12-14) cards in library, and they're able to rummage. Our Rummager died in that attack. And now they have a way to start tapping our things down. And they're still holding up counter magic. Seems like this opponent has a lot of counter magic. Have 1 deny, 2 denies so far, and there's a good chance they have more. We only saw 1 in the first game, so it's worth keeping that in mind. Oh, deck. Well, we said we wanted to play out exactly 2 lands. This way we can fight against a Whirlwind Denial for our 5 mana flyers. We won't play any more lands. We'll sandbag the rest. It does look that if it comes down to decking, they are decking first, so that's a possible out for us here still. But I think our best out is just going to be trying to find those flyers that just have to be at the bottom. 25% of our library. That's fine for us. We have a 2/5 that blocks that all day. Okay, we're going to do another land check. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's only 2 lands in the last 10 cards. Oh, deck. And we scryed 1 to the bottom, so out of 9 cards, we got 1 land. 8 pieces of action, though, so I'm liking our next 8 draws here. At least 8 of the 9, so. One with the stars, that was our biggest butt. That was sort of our way to protect against this Dreamstalker just smashing in. And they want to do that. I'm not going to block. We can take 2 for a little bit. Hey, there's one of our outs. Let's go ahead and try to cast this in tomorrow. Some tomorrows. And we can even scry with it. Fantastic. And that's also, you know, it's not a bad blocker if that's something you absolutely need to do with it. But ideally, we're just trying to win in the air with it, so. We have a lot of mana. We'll be able to use the scry ability. Now that we have a mana sink, it might be worth playing out extra lands just to get extra activations of this. But really, we have 8 cards we're looking at. And we know only one of those is lands, so the likelihood of a scry to the bottom is pretty low. Okay. Here, now that they've equipped it up, we'll block with the Dreamstalker. It's not great. I would have liked to have killed this Lionfish first with it. But it's a 1-for-1, and I think we have to take that here. And they're trading a spell for a Manticore. Happens. Does that does have trample, which means they are still getting in there for free, which is not great. Might have been worth, you know, double blocking with the Oracle in that. No, because then no, that might have been worth it. Alright, we'll go scry. If this is a land, we'll be very happy. That's fantastic. That'll do some damage somewhere. I don't know if we can necessarily attack. They have a lot of power over there. But I don't see any other way that we're winning this, so let's get in there with the Witness. See how they want to attack here. Brine Giant's pretty bad for us. I will offer a Naiad for the Careless Celebrant here, and if they try to save it, we'll Fateful End it if we get enough to blow out. Fantastic, we can eat that with the Thassa's Oracle. Well, if we do that, we end up losing this Irosa's Blessing, which could be a potential out, so I think we're just taking that 3, but we will do the trade there. Okay, they can use it there, that's fine. And before it gets passed over, I feel like we might just have to take out the Manticore. The power is going to be the issue here. And if they have a counterspell for this, well, rip. Or Starlit Mantle. That's not going to get us there. Icky won't get us there. another witness doesn't really get us there. Does that do anything? They can trample over for enough that I feel like it doesn't do enough, and that we should just take our beats here and know that they're trying to protect their things with, you know, those. So it feels bad, but we get another shot. We'll bring in the Revelers. It's very much a way to combat and take out their Shadow Spear. Careless Celebrant seemed alright there. They don't have a ton of 2 toughness things. Again, I don't really want to fight the counter games, but this might be reasonable enough against them that we should be running at least those over the memory drain. Other things, you know, they look fine. I don't want to change up too much in this deck. The dismissal gets worse with all the stuff they're showing, so I think we just run it like this. The Whirlwind Denial actually will stop the first strike from the Manticore aspect of Manticore, and that could be relevant. Seems great. 2-drop, 3-drop, and then we start holding up flashy things. Here, I'd kind of be fine. Oh, no, let's drop the Manticore. They probably don't make a trade. Trade damage. I'm not going to attack here. We could flash in the gold to eat this. See if they have an answer. I guess we could have picked our own Celebrant. Here we're forcing them to do it on their turn. If they happen to have something, okay. It's not. But they had to have it. Now we can lock down one of these threats. Let's just lock down the Chimera. And get in there. Manual tapping. They don't want this blue tap that's likely to counter spell, which means we might just roll a Whirlwind Denial. Here, we're only going to attack with the Dreamstalker. The Celebrant's actually blocking very well here. And we can just Whirlwind Denial this if it looks bad for us. This is fantastic. We get to sacrifice the enchantment off this, not the creature. It's worth noting. Would have loved to have gotten rid of the creature too. Making that an enchantment. Interesting. here, we can return an enchantment we control, which is technically Careless Celebrant now. That seems dope. Let's get in there. They can't just win the game. Yep, they're probably blocking with the Chimera. See if they have a way to deal with the Shipwing Chimera. That'll be a bit of a problem. We don't want to block. We're actually going to return the Celebrant. Their one with the stars falls off. And this will let us hold up counter magic. We're going to get in there with our flyer. We're going to try to win in the air here. We can actually block in a fine way here. We put the Dreamstalker on the Brine Giant, Careless Celebrant there. Use the 2 damage to kill the Giant. They don't really have an attack. Yep, we'll do that, and we have the Whirlwind Denial to absolutely blow this out. Yep, they can get in for the 1. We can't really do much about that. So yeah, here, we're going to block like this, block like this. And does that give him a good enough clock? No. Alright, land. Thassa's Oracle is fine here. We can actually drop in and still hold up the denial, which means we don't just die to the aspect of Manticore. So yeah, we'll get in. This is exactly the draw we wanted. Go 3 deep. We'll pick up a blessing just in case, but this game should just be over here. We don't have to block because we have the denial. Yep, still fine. And Exploding Planeswalker. We got that. That was a super tight game. Very happy when games of Magic go like that. It was very exciting, a lot of interesting decisions, what to hold up, and our deck just performed for us. So, ended up going to the 3rd game of the best of 3, and managed to get there. And we just got trolled. Alright, bunch of XP, bunch of gems, some gold. We're still doing alright on time. We'll see if we can jam one more. We got 800 gems so far of our 1,500 back. We'd love to get 1,500 of 1,500 back. For anyone just tuning in, deck looks like this. We were going, pretty hard in the blue-red play it instant speed build. And, early on in pack 3, we opened both Eutropia, and then the pack right after that, we got Enigmatic Incarnation. And those two sort of allowed for a splash, and we sort of shifted towards more of the enchantment fall based stuff. Brine Giant that gets cheaper. We have some of the icky fishes here. We are doing a little bit of instant speed stuff, and we also have the Thassa's Oracle. In case games go long, we can throw that in there to win the game, or we can also just cast it early on, like we've done a couple of times here, have it set up a draw. So let's go ahead, let's see if we can get one more game in here. This might end up being broken up into 2 parts. And actually, we're close to 2 hours on this video, so let's just go ahead, cut it here tonight. It is late Eastern time, so I'm going to go ahead and turn in for the night, but we will finish up this deck another time. Just one more look if anyone wants to take a look. Any of you have suggestions for different cards to put in? This was a very interesting build. I'd love to hear any suggestions that you have. With that, we'll go ahead and turn it in for the night. Thanks for tuning in, and catch the rest of this deck in part 2.